Hi friends, my name's Jennifer Frost. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Bendigo. I've been running classes for 7 years now, and recently I've started running videos like this one that I'm about to do today. A few of my ladies couldn't make it, and I thought it would be fun to share a few of the elements of this first project that we're working on. Hi Kayla, nice to see you. Hi Susan, got a few friends popping on, that's really fun. I'll show you who I've got with me. This is my beautiful, beautiful group of ladies that I love seeing every first Sunday of the month, and they are very, very kind, and they're letting me take a video of my demonstration today just to make life a bit easier. I don't have to redo this later at home. Alright, so for you guys playing at home and for all of you lovelies playing along here in class, we have this project that we're working on today, and I will hold that up, and I might pass this one around for you girls. Are you watching me? So the idea behind this card was we would get a chance to learn a little bit more about colouring, and all our projects today feature brushos. It's hilarious that Jenny has jumped in and she's watching because she's actually here in person as well.
And in the front seat.
And in the front seat, she's got me on screen and live. So this is the project that we're working on. Now you might have noticed that I actually shared this project on my blog last week. It was casing the amazing Connie Collins. She is another member of the Artisan Design team, but she was being featured over at a challenge blog called Global Design Project. So I love her work. I love what she did. I used the layout, and I submitted my project, and they actually chose me as the winner. So that was really exciting. Alright, so all of the ladies here today have a little kit of stuff in front of them. We've got a white card base. Most of my projects use a white card base. I'm not sure why, but my camera really likes to struggle with its focus. Now, we're all just sticking the crumb cake piece straight onto the white so that it's bordered there. And then I've got this older piece of Designer Series patterned paper. It was from a neutrals collection. You remember when we used to get the 12 by 12 neutrals? Well, now in the catalogue you can find a 6 by 6 neutrals, but I'm pretty sure, I'll have to double check, I'm pretty sure you can find patterns. They're not quite the same as these ones, they're different. There's some white on crumb cake or whatever the main colour is, and then you've got some tone on tone like we used to have. So those layers just all go nice and flat straight on there. Once you've got that in place, I've got this Dijon, delightfully Dijon retired ribbon, and we can use a little bit of our tear and tape adhesive for ribbon going straight onto the card. So when I'm doing that, I've got my tear and tape. I usually just eyeball where I'm going to pop it, put it in place, pop that first layer down, put another bit of tear and tape down, and then fold that across and position it where you'd like it to go. The reason I'm not actually sticking these pieces down as I go is because I'm saving this kit for the lovely Sandra, who could not make it to class today. So I'll pop those aside because the next step is to create an embellishment. Now, we have a beautiful sale on at the moment with this Blended Seasons stamp set and the coordinating, I think they're called this, I want to call them stitched labels, but they're not. They're Stitched Seasons framelets. They're only available throughout August or while stocks last. So if you're interested in those, get them. They've got these beautiful shapes. There's 3 of these particular label shapes. And all I've done is run that through the die cutting machine. But what's special about these stitched labels, and I'll hold that up so you can see, is that they're double stitched. So the stitching here goes on the inside of the label, but there's also stitching on the outside of the label. So I've held on to a bunch of those, and now if you've got any ideas for me, ladies, I have to think of what I'm going to do with that and then share that with the ladies in class when they come back again in September. So I'll just pass that around my ladies here so they can see that. So ladies, that's the external piece. And what makes it different is it's stitched on both sides. So if you just want to pass that around. Yeah, stitching is really, really trendy, and I'm really happy to see some more of those particular framelets. And we've been doing a lot of work with stitched looks in class. So that kind of just carries on from what we've been doing. So for this panel here, we're going to stamp the beautiful autumn leaves. Susan says she wishes she was here with us all. I'm really excited because Susan is coming to visit us in Bendigo, or visit me in Bendigo, for on stage. So I've got my stamp here. I've got my Versamark ink, and I'm loading that up. I have to go a little bit more gentle when I've got the camera stuck to the table. My ladies are not normally this quiet. They are being very quiet today. And it's got this beautiful spray of leaves, and I'm going across the top of my label shape with those. I'm just lining up this top bit with the top of that label. And then we've got our white powder to put on top there. You can chat. Feel free to chat. Don't stress. Oh, these two are naughty. That's why I sit them at the front. All right, so now that that's got the powder on it, all we have to do is heat set that. And I've actually brought my brand new heat tool, but I don't have an extension cable that's close enough to the table. So here's one I prepared earlier. Little bit of magic. Because once we have that, I'm better clean up this powder. I was just telling the ladies that I've put holes in my Brusho lids to make them easier and cleaner to use, because I am a klutz and I will knock things over if they're left open, so I better make sure that that's closed up. So I've got the shape, and now what I'm going to do with Brushos, ladies, I'm doing the Brusho bit. If anyone wants to come a bit closer and watch this. So the Brusho powders come in 5 different colours, and you've got them all in these little pots, and I just went with the most autumn ones. Actually, all of those 3 are really great autumn tones. 4. As Susan says that I think you're all very brave using Brushos in a group setting. Oh, let's see how we go. So I'm just making sure that my aqua paint is really clean, and that's something you're going to have to be aware of as you're blending colours. I've given you all a mat there to keep that nice and clean. And I think it's a good idea, particularly with the room being as warm as it is, to work kind of one leaf at a time. And what I really liked about this particular colouring project is, for me, it can be messy because it's all out of lines. So you can see it's just that little bit of powder, and what I really like is that little grungy...
It's only a real tiny bit.
Yeah, very tiny bit, and you'll see when I blend that in...
No.
You
Does
don't.
It come out of your clothes?
Oh, wear black.
Was that on the post?
Apron top.
To wear black?
No,
Wear black.
I had a
Where's
white
your
top
smell?
and then went, yes, and now we just brush it.
So you just brush it in, and then I just keep cleaning my brush and blending it through the middle where I want that colour to move. And you can see it's come over the side here. I don't mind that. If you've got a really clean brush and you're not happy with how far that's come out, you can just run back over it and blend it back out again. So can you see how less vibrant that is? And it kind of, I really like the way that it all comes together and it gives it that autumn feel. And if you have a look, like all of that's out of the lines, it's all messy. But I think it really works. And I also really like that the Brushos leave, if I can pass that around, they leave these little speckles.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a really kind of rustic colouring technique that works so well for an autumn feel or for leaves. And I like that it works so well on crumb cake because we're not colouring directly on white. We're wanting to make sure that we get a really vibrant colour, and that might have been really hard to do with some of our other colour mediums, but with this it's coming up really well.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just blending the colours in.
Kinder powder bags.
These are their fingers.
So everyone's going to get a very different result. And no two cards are going to look the same, which is the beauty of what we do as card makers. But I think the fun thing about this is that there's no mistakes, there's no pressure. It's a very low pressure way to get that colour therapy, that creative therapy. And you'll find that as it dries, it is different. Now the reason I'm colouring and wetting the paper first is because I find that it's a bit easier for things to blend if they're going onto a wet surface, but you can go straight off dry. And you can blend in one colour, that's all just yellow, and then I might decide that, oh, actually a little bit of green would work. And you'll notice that the holes are really small in mine.
Yeah, but you're still getting plenty out of the...
Yeah, but there's enough for what I need. And what you'll find, like, if you run your hand back over a little bit that's left on the table, the other day I did this and I'd missed it when I'd cleaned up, and then I was working on something else and it smudges back because it's so vibrant, the colour. It's the kind of thing you don't want all over your desk. And this one I'm going to do in the oranges, and probably not, no. Mixing those tones.
The red's just gorgeous.
Yeah, it's so vibrant.
Yeah. How, does it come in a set or do you buy them individually?
You buy the whole box. I think it's actually not one of the cheapest colouring tools.
But that would last forever.
Oh yeah, you'd have enough there to do. And we're doing 3 different techniques today, so you'll see a lot of different ideas for how you can get them out of the cupboard and get them into use. So that's it there. That's our colouring. I'll bring that up a little closer to the camera. I'm loving that when we added those wet speckles formed on top of that yellow and gave us that real rustic, authentic leaf look. Susan has said, how does the paper hold up given it's not shimmer or watercolour paper? Actually, I've worked really well with the crumb cake. I've really enjoyed it. It hasn't peeled. I put a lot of water on, and on the other 2 as well, the samples that made their way around the table, I applied a lot of water. I was very heavy-handed, and I didn't find that it picked and it didn't peel the paper or anything. But I wonder with this particular paint medium, because we're not having to apply a lot of paint on top.
Yeah.
We're
not applying ink, another liquid.
That's it. You're not. So I'm not sure why it works so well on the crumb cake, and I will have to test it out on a few other panels just to see how we go, because I think that could really work on any of the lighter colour cardstocks.
Crumb cake cardstock seems to be a bit different than the other
Crumb cake
cardstocks too.
Yeah.
I actually, if there's any fellow demos in the room, there's a place in Stampin' Up that you can go to called Sandbox, and I actually put in a request for some recycled paper. Remember our old ivory? We used to have a naturals ivory paper. I reckon it would be nice from an environmental point of view, but also I really loved that texture they had in the paper. So you can go into Sandbox and say, let's be more environmental, and can we have an ivory naturals paper made with recycled stuff again? That would be really nice. I don't know if it would ever work, but yeah, you don't get if you don't ask, hey? So once all those layers are down, this sits up on dimensionals. Because we did colour it, you can choose to heat set it dry if you want to, with your heat tool. And I was quite liberal with my dots. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dimensionals, and pop that in place. You can cut them in half if you want to. My heat tool, when I set this one, I've got, if I can show you, oh, I don't know what I've done then. There. I've got quite a few little speckles already from the white. Some of you worry about that when you're doing your heat embossing, but you don't need to for this particular project because it all adds to that look. And then the very last thing, if you're going to make your way over to the heat tool, I just stamped on a sentiment. So you'll all know Teeny Tiny Sentiments has retired. That was a big favourite of ours. But I've replaced it with this Itty Bitty Greetings, and I really, really like that they don't only just have some of the one-line ones, but they've got some of these little doubles as well. So in one of the samples making their way around, it says, "Hey friend," but I also liked the little "with gratitude." And that just sits on dimensionals where if you've got a boo-boo somewhere, you can put it over that. But I liked it up in this top right side to just add that bit of balance. So there we go. All right, ladies. They're all off to get crafting now.
Sequins.
Oh, the sequins are very, very easy. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're at that stage and you're wanting to add some sequins, I use my fine tip glue pen. I have a little tweezers and I pick them up from the pot, dip them on a little bit of the glue pen and position them in place. So I hope that you're getting crafty wherever you are this Sunday, and let me know if you've enjoyed this video. Okay, thank you. Oh, Kayla says it was good to see us all. Thanks, Kayla. Thanks, Susan. Bye.